you ready for this?
Gonna be fun.
You will not stand in my way.
Frostborn, hunger. This pleases me.
I do not fear you, mortal.
Your soul shall be mine.
Don't make me laugh.
Needs a brew?
Oh, I do.
Feel a shredding, baby. Let the battle begin.
So hello and welcome to the 51st episode of the Nexus Trolls, a podcast all about Heroes of the Storm, part of the Trolls.gg podcasting network. I'm your host, Linus Daz Kilius. I'm joined today, as always, by Mystic and LiQuiud. How is it going, gentlemen?
Good. There's a lot of explosions coming out on the Nexus lately.
You're getting hit by a fire by little grenades, have you?
They fly through the air so fast.
So now that we're at 51 episodes, does that mean we're officially like not a new podcast anymore? I feel like,
I think
now
we
we're
have to get to 53.
53, so we're more than a year. Is that
more than a year?
The idea? It's weird to think that, about a year ago now is when we started this. Me, Shiz, and Mystic too. I guess me and Shiz for episode 0 that didn't really work out too well, but a little bit down the road, here we are at episode 51 with Junkrat in the Nexus. We almost have to do like a year in review to see what things looked like a year ago.
The game was so different a year ago.
I know, it changes so quickly. I mean, last week when we did the Trolls feud bet, I wanted to say, what are the top heroes from a year ago, but I couldn't actually find the data. Hot Slugs only goes back easily 3 months, so I had to do 3 months ago. But yeah, it would have been interesting to see like what were the top win rate heroes like a year ago, like who was it, and like even trying to remember what patch that was. I can't even like contemplate who the heroes were around that time. Like who was coming out a year ago? Like who did we get announced at BlizzCon last year? It was Ragnaros and Varian,
Alarak.
right? Yeah, so I guess
yeah, but a year ago it would have been Alarak and Zarya, right?
I guess so. Yeah, it seems like they've been in the Nexus forever too. But anyways, I'm getting derailed quite quickly. So we've got a good show today. We're going to be talking about Junkrat. We're going to be doing a deep dive on him, as well as the reworks for Zul'jin and Muradin, because they got some major reworks in the PTR last week, and they finally moved over to live patch as of yesterday. So we've had a little bit of playtime with those. We're obviously going to do LiQuiud's eSports Corner as per usual, and quite a bit more. So before we start the show, we always thank our patrons over patreon.com/trollsgg. If you're looking for a way to support the show, you can head over there and you can do so there. The show is always going to be free. We're never going to charge you anything for it, so you can always feel free to enjoy this content. But if you're looking for a way to support us, that's the best place to do so. And Troll of the Week this week. And this is another one that I feel like we probably should have given this guy credit a little bit like a while ago, is Bacon. Because not only has Bacon appeared on the Nexus Trolls 2 times, he's been on Troll and HGC, like 3 or 4 times at least.
Yep.
He was kind of like the go-to replacement for Bags when Bags couldn't make it. So I feel like Bacon has done a lot for the Trolls GG community and like the Nexus Trolls and Troll and HGC in general. So I feel remiss that we haven't thanked him in the past in form of Troll of the Week. So Bacon, and by the way, if you're looking for Bacon on a regular basis, you can check out the Gankbush Squad podcast too. They actually record the same time generally as Troll and HGC. So you can check them out. Their weekly show as well. They do have a lot more dick jokes, is what I like to say. They're an explicit podcast, whereas we're a little bit more of a clean version, I guess, of the Gankbush Squad. But a great group of guys there. I play with them a lot. So
Christian podcast.
Yeah, definitely.
I wouldn't go that far.
Definitely check them out. So we do have a little bit of news. It's a light news week, but nevertheless, we're going to go over the news.
Someday, this will make a great story.
I feel like I've already mentioned the first point here. We got a patch yesterday. Links in the show notes. The big things that came out of it is the Hallows End event has started, but probably more importantly, the Pacamari events ended, because I was getting annoyed by having to open those little loot boxes before every game started. Were you guys still doing it, or did you just sit in the core and wait till it was over?
Well, since I already had all the things done by like the third day, I just sat in the corner and was like, you guys get your loot boxes.
I was still opening them, but only because I hadn't finished, mainly because I've been really busy and haven't had enough time to play. Yeah. I was still doing it.
More than anything, I felt kind of bad because whenever anyone else was playing with me and I didn't know them, I was like, well, maybe they need it too, so I might as well try and find that golden Pacamari for them. And I guess it's a little bit of a good warm up too. So I always, it's like giving up early in the game. Like it's just not in me to sit in the corner and be like, okay, I'm done. I feel like
You
I've
gotta
always
A
got to
move,
try and
man.
do it. Yeah.
You got to A move.
Yeah. So anyways, the new Hallows End event, there's no pre-game event anymore. However, we did get a whole bunch of skins. Dr. Wolfenstein Greymane is probably my favorite. I love the throwback call out to Wolfenstein as well. We've got Vampire Slayer Valera, Paperbag Gazlo, Bewitching Brightwing. like I said last show too, I feel like it's such a cop-out skin. They put a little hat and some Goldilocks on Brightwing. Pumpkin Cho'Gall, Creepy Chromie, Garden Shambler Murky, which I think looks pretty cool, Phantom Stallion, and Pumpkin Banner, amongst some other things too. Is there anything in particular you've rushed out to buy, LiQuiud? Have you gotten the Valera skins yet?
I haven't bought anything yet, mainly because I knew I'd be playing a bunch of games this weekend. So I'm going to wait and see what drops out of boxes. Plus, I get my 5 free loot chests. If you listened to me last week, you knew save your Twitch Prime loot chest for this week. So I'll be getting those. I get back into town tomorrow night, so I'll probably do that Friday.
And one of the super cool things is if you get loot boxes now, they become the Hallows End loot chests, but they also guarantee one Hallows End item too, which is different. I believe the summer event, the Suns Out Guns Out, just had another elevated chance.
Right. They changed that with this patch, which is the other reason that I was saying make sure you save your chests to get after the patch drop, because they wouldn't change any existing chests that you had into Hallows End loot boxes. But if you get new chests starting yesterday, they are Hallows End loot chests. Except for I think the legendary ones are still legendary. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it was pretty cool too, because I mean, if you get like an epic or a legendary pop in a chest now, you've got like basically a 1 in 4 chance of it being one of the Hallows End content. Like there's so many skins and everything now. Like I feel like if they didn't do that, like just an elevated chance wouldn't be nearly enough to like get those cool skins, especially like the legendary ones that are hard to get, like the Wolfenstein or like some of the other cool ones too.
Well, let me ask you guys a question, because I know what I think about this, but do you think they're releasing too many skins and other, not just skins, because I don't think skins is a problem, but the banners, the sprays, and the portraits too quickly?
I kind of want more stuff, to be honest with you.
I think the banners, no one really cares about the banners. The portraits, though, I think the portraits are great.
It sucks because you get like a voice line or like a banner if you don't care about banners, or portraits if you don't care about portraits, and you feel like it's just wasted, right? Like I feel like when I'm opening loot boxes, I want to get the skins, and the other things are just fillers. Yeah, I put portraits above banners for sure. I'm definitely with Mystic there, but it'd be nice if they had a higher ratio of skins to banners and stuff, because I feel like that's what I'm really looking for.
Or let you choose to disenchant stuff yourself.
Yeah. But again, you can see why Blizzard doesn't do that, because, you know, it's if you can disenchant the stuff you don't like to get the stuff you do want, you know, it's less likely you're going to spend money to get those things, or, you know, buy loot boxes, try and get shards to get those things, which is another conversation in itself too, because I can't believe you can't just buy everything like that you want to buy.
That drives me nuts at this point.
Because, oh my gosh, I've been saving, I can't remember if I talked about this on the show last week. I apologize if I did, but I've been saving so many shards to get all those Whimsyshire cloud mounts, and I was like, I just want to spend like $10 and like get them all. Like, why do I have to sit here? I'm not going to buy loot boxes to get shards from duplicates. It's just so annoying.
I just want to pay Blizzard directly. I want to say, I want this. Let me pay you.
Yeah. Come on, Blizzard. Let me give you my money for the things that I want.
I'm throwing it at the screen. Why won't you take it?
I have a feeling that this is going to be a change down the road. I wouldn't be surprised if they fix that a little bit, because only being able to pay for featured items with gems / real money just doesn't feel right. So we also, BlizzCon loot is now available too. So if you bought a BlizzCon virtual ticket or a BlizzCon ticket, you will now get the Nexus Razorback mount, the BlizzCon banner, the Nexus Razorback spray, and the BlizzCon portrait next time you log in. Pretty cool. I mean, not the greatest.
I feel like I was remiss last week and didn't mention stuff. The BlizzCon, if you bought BlizzCon tickets, the BlizzCon physical store is open to you as well if you've added the virtual ticket to your account. So I ordered a bunch of HGC shirts, and actually Bags tweeted out a picture of him in his HGC jacket last night. I think that's the other package I got today.
Yeah, and from what I've heard, it's really tough to buy merch when you're there, so buy it in advance too, right, if you can.
Right.
I don't own a single Blizzard thing, oddly enough, like any sort of like, I don't have any like miniatures, any shirts, anything. I should probably order something.
I feel bad because I can't like show anything because I'm sitting in a hotel right now and I do not have any Blizzard. I have No, I don't have any Blizzard stuff with me right now, so I'm like, I can't really give you too much grief, but I want to give you grief because I'm like surrounded by little miniatures, Funko Pops, for Heroes of the Storm.
LiQuiD's north of the border. He's in Canada up here with me, just a couple hours away from where I am in Toronto. So it's good to see LiQuiD on the right side of the border for once. So LiQuiD, we had some roster apocalypse beginning rumblings. Is this the beginning of things to come? What happened here?
So this is interesting. So Schizophrenic's in chat right now, and he was following this really, really closely, to the point where he was like sending us clips before the news even dropped, like it's about to go down. Michael Udall has retired from competitive Heroes of the Sports. Heroes of the Sports. Oh my god.
Heroes of the
Heroes of the Storm eSports. So he's retired. He said he's no longer going to compete in Heroes of the Storm. It will be interesting to see what happens and like where he goes from here. He might be casting. He might be playing third guy. He might be like, there's a lot of places he can go from here, but it will not be competitive, and it will be interesting to see what GFE does with the rest of the roster.
I was having a chat with just someone in game earlier today, and they're not a big Michael Udall fan. But one thing we're talking about is how he's positioned himself really well from a PR perspective. He's a big face and a big name in the game. So you know, anyone can argue about how good he is. That doesn't really matter as much because he's got the brand recognition now that he can do something like a dunk train and transition, I think, easily into streaming, coaching, whatever, to get that kind of because he's already got the pre-exposure for it, brings the name with him.
He would have an easier time than Dunk Train did, I think. His brand exposure is much higher than just about any professional Heroes of the Storm
So
NA player
you're telling
that we have.
me that the hair is better than the beard?
No.
Because I'm growing a beard. Should I be growing my hair?
I'm not telling you it's the beard. I'm telling you that between two dorms, not just one, two dorms.
It was a joke, LiQuiD.
Like, but like, the reality is there's a lot of Udall haters out there, and the man has like brand recognition in the scene. 100%, he has brand recognition in the scene. He can go anywhere he wants to go, right? My problem is I don't think that was the move the scene needed. I don't think we needed Udall to leave. I think we needed that team's roster to get blown up. I think we needed a lot of teams' rosters to get blown up.
Which is what we expect to happen, no?
The rules are vague in that it's supposed to only still be 2 roster slots, but it also says Blizzard has to approve everything to keep another B step from occurring. So it'll be interesting. This season's roster apocalypse is going to be crazy.
And do you think that everyone's just waiting until after BlizzCon, perchance, to see what the changes are for next season's format, maybe, before this happens? So we probably won't see too much swapping, you don't think, before BlizzCon?
I do not think we'll see. I got to remember the date. I think the date for the changes is right after BlizzCon.
You know what I should have done about 2 minutes ago? Was played this.
Hey, yo, how you doing? It's time for LiQuiD's eSports Corner. That's right. You're going to want to stick around for this.
Because even though that was in the news segment, that really was...
You totally dove right in, right?
I was like, this is LiQuiD's eSports Corner. Why did we separate the two? Anyways, I'll let you continue on with your...
All right, so Schizophrenic, thank you. Mid-November is the roster swap dates, which is going to be after BlizzCon finishes up. It will be interesting to see what happens, not just here, but everywhere. In Korea, all right, so I'm going to jump ahead a little bit and then come back a little bit. In Korea, we had both Raven and RRR getting 4-0'd out of Korean HGC, being replaced by Open Division teams. Those Open Division teams looked freaking amazing compared to RRR and Raven. Now, granted, it's RR and Raven are arguably the 2 worst teams in Korea, and like nobody questions that. But 4-0, like getting 4-0'd was like, holy crap, what did we just see? So I think we're gonna see some roster apocalypse type activity out of NA, EU, and Korea. China's a mixed bag. We'll see what happens. And all the minor regions just kind of do whatever they want because they're minor regions, and Blizzard doesn't have nearly the roster restrictions on them as other teams.
So what you're saying is you'd be surprised if there was no roster apocalypse, because it seems like that just happens every year.
The only thing I think might not change is I think regardless of how Fnatic does, they probably won't make any changes. I think Fnatic and maybe Dignitas are the two teams that won't change much.
Yeah, you got to respect teams that stay together and try and improve as a team, though, as well. Like making roster changes isn't necessarily the move, right? Like Dignitas getting a coach, I believe, was probably one of their better moves.
that definitely helped.
Yeah, and you can just make changes to the culture, changes internally too. Like Dignitas changed, I believe, their shot caller, right, or at least drafter. So things like that can also improve the team. So internally is best for your fan base too.
And then you have teams coming in from the open division who are stuck with that roster, but are happy with that roster. You look at Heroes Hearth, like that team is going to be sick good. I can't wait to watch them play. They have a coach who wrote a great article. We talked about it last week on the show about what he does as a coach, and he drafts for Heroes Hearth. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. You have why am I going blank? Leftovers coming in. They also look good, right? Coming into EU, they're probably right now, I'd put them in the middle of the pack, but I expect them to continue to improve and move up the pack. So like there's going to be some cool stuff going on in 2018. But yeah, there'll definitely be some roster apocalypse stuff. And then, well, go ahead. Were you going to ask something?
No, I was going to move on. I thought that was the natural breaking point.
I have one last thing.
Okay, go ahead.
Yep. So the only last thing I bring up is a little bit of amateur stuff. Heroes Hype Tempo Storm Season 3 did finish last week. And Flame is Lame beat Team Numerics 2-1 in the finals to end that. So, yeah, it was a good Heroes Hype Tempo Storm, another season in the books. And they are looking to start Season 4 at some point in the near future. And they also did a EU Open with Fnatic.
So anyone looking for additional esports coverage for the Heroes scene, we're going to be doing Troll and HGC later tonight. What time is that, LiQuiud?
So tonight we'll be on at 11, and we will have Team Freedom's coach on with us.
Yeah, and some pretty big guests recently. We've had Tetcher. We had some newly minted HGC.
Yep. We had Lauber on last week. We had Ishbu on last week. Both one from Heroes Hearth, one from Leftovers. Yeah. This week we have Aether on, Team Freedom's coach. And we are also setting up to talk to Dignitas's coach. Yeah, actually, we're set up. We just haven't worked out the scheduling yet. So
yeah, I gotta say, Trolling HGC has quite a bit of momentum behind it, and you guys are getting some big names. It's good to see the growth there. So
I'm like every time we get to talk to somebody, it's even more like I'm always messaging Bags afterwards. I'm like, oh my god, I can't wait! Like that was so much fun, right? Yeah. And then we get someone else. I'm like, holy crap, how do we do that? And then I can't wait to go to BlizzCon and just like talk to all these people face to face and meet them. But lovely Hearthstone Ether will be on tonight at 11 p.m. Eastern.
So we've got a new hero in the Nexus, Junkrat. We're going to talk about him in general. I'm sure we've all got pretty, well-formed opinions after him being on the PTR for a week and now being live for a week. Before we talk about the impressions, I'm going to quickly go over his kit for those of you who haven't had a chance to play him or play against him. So he's got a very strange, well, I mean, maybe not strange for the thematic part of Junkrat, but trait. It's called Total Mayhem. Upon dying, he drops 5 grenades that explode after 0.75 seconds, each dealing 250 damage to nearby enemies. And they had a lesson this on the live patch, so he does 75% less damage to structures. And we'll talk about why that is a little bit later on. There's some cheesing strats that people were pulling in.
Such a great cheese, though.
But yeah, Total Mayhem, so it's kind of like the Tyrael bit, like you can get damage done after you die, and I actually have died quite a few times to the Total Mayhem trait too. I think it's just getting used to, like, because at Tyrael, you've got time to respond. You see the big, glowing, angelic form lurking about, knowing it's about to explode. But the Total Mayhem, it's a little bit less visible. Sometimes I was like, what the hell killed me? And then you realize, you look at your little screen afterwards, oh, it was Junkrat with this stupid little 5 grenades blowing me up. So be careful after you kill Junkrat. It's not quite done yet. Frag launcher is his Q. It's on a 12-second cooldown. It's really weird to me because this is just seems very similar in terms of like animations to his actual just auto attack. So he launches a grenade that explodes at the end of its path or upon hitting an enemy hero. Deals a minute amount of damage, about an auto attack to enemies. And grenades, though, can jump over terrain and can ricochet off terrain too before hitting something and exploding. So that's pretty cool. You can do some pretty neat skill shots there. Deals 50% less damage to structures. Thank God, or else it'd be a huge like Li Ming's like had when she came out had that kind of sieging issue where she could just outrange towers and stuff, right? So you want to get rid of that. It stores up to 4 charges, and kind of like Genji's Shuriken, they all recharge at once. So yeah, so and you can also I actually have to check this out. I think you can cast this while moving. I think after you take the level 13 talent where you can get a burst. But anyways, we'll move along. So Concussion Mine is on his W. It's on a 16-second cooldown. This one's really cool. I feel like Junkrat's got a lot of these like weird displacement kind of abilities and like CC that doesn't really seem to fit the traditional sense. But Concussion Mine, you put the mine on the battlefield, and it activates pretty quickly after dropping. And after he does, you can press D to detonate the mine. It deals a decent amount of damage, about an auto attack or 2 to nearby enemies, and it knocks them back a significant distance, as well as Junkrat too. And he doesn't take any damage if it knocks him back. You can only have 1 active mine at a time, but you can also jump over terrain, which can lead to some interesting things. And like, garage throws, you can throw someone over the wall. I got a Devo once. That was my proud moment. It took me like 10 games to actually get someone over the wall, but I did it with Concussion Mine. So that can be done. And on his E, he's got Steel Trap, this cool looking like bear trap with big jaws. It's on a 12-second cooldown. You place it on the ground and it arms after a couple seconds. And it deals damage to the first enemy that walks over it, and it also roots them for 2 seconds. And just a note, this isn't just heroes, it's enemies too. So minions, mercenaries, anything will get trapped in here, even like spawns from like infernal shrines. You can only have 1 active trap at a time. It is that both Concussion Mine and Steel Trap are not targetable too by area of effect. They don't have any. You can't target them with auto attacks. Can't target them with area of effect damage. So when you put them down, they're there, and people have to deal with that zone control, and they can't clear it like other typical things that get placed on the ground. 2 ultimates, Riptire and Rocket Ride. Riptire is the one that you probably would know even if you don't play Overwatch. He takes that giant tire on his back. He starts it going like a big like lawnmower and just kind of goes, and you can control it. You're stuck still while it's going, and it's got 530 health. It can be targeted. It lasts 15 seconds. It goes just a bit faster than mount speed, I believe. It's not terribly fast, but you can catch people. So while it's active, like I said, Junkrat's immobile, and you can reactivate it again to detonate it. And it does pretty massive damage near the center, very similar to like Diva's mech. When she explodes, it does more damage near the center. I think there's like 3 tiers. Near the outside of it, it does about half damage, and in the middle, it does the middle tier of damage too. However, a lot more people are taking Rocket Ride. It's on a 100-second cooldown. After 1.25 seconds, Junkrat launches into the air, and while in the air, he can steer the landing location by moving, very similar to like Joanna's Falling Sword. Then after 3.5 seconds, Junkrat lands, dealing a large amount of damage to nearby enemies, and activates his trait, which is that throwing out the 5 grenades from his death point to blow up other people. So one of the great things about this is that he also just respawns at the altar. There's no experience gained by the enemy team, but he respawns riding the rocket, so he gets an additional 150% move speed. So he's going at 250% move speed from the altar until you take damage or you dismount or do anything. And post 20 too, this got a nerf, because the reason that we saw the nerf to his trade, actually, the 75% less damage to structures, is because what people were doing is post 20, you got a 70-second cooldown reduction. So this is on a 30-second cooldown. You basically just run to the core on your little rocket. You just suicide it. Basically, you just cast your ult again, blow it up, do enough damage to get a little bit of chunking down on the core, and then you go back to your core, you spawn back in your core, and you do it over again. Just keep repeating over and over again. Eventually kill the core. So they had to reduce the damage of the post death explosions there to mitigate that. So interesting hero. I'd like to hear what Mystic thinks first. Mystic, what do you think about Junkrat?
I think he's a very fun hero to play, but not very fun to play against. He's very active, like, because he has no mana, like a lot of other Overwatch heroes, that, you can constantly spam the bombs, spam your traps, spam, the detonation mine, but obviously he has that little bit of weakness where he has a low HP pool, and you think that he might not have a lot of mobility, but that concussion mine actually boots people and Junkrat pretty far away. So I think he's very strong.
How about you, LiQuiuD? What do you think? He's got a pretty low win rate at Hot Slog, so.
Yeah, I would agree with Mystic. He wasn't so overtuned that he was going to have a high win rate on Hot Slogs when he came out. Right? Typically, we only see really high win rate when the character's like OP. Junkrat's not OP, but people also haven't figured out the optimum way to play him yet, ideally. So we'll see. It'll be interesting to see what ends up happening given time.
I find like he's got a great range and can do a lot of poke. By the way, I forgot to mention too, his auto attacks do splash damage as well. It's not strong enough that he's got great wave clear or anything. It's, I'd say, like middling wave clear. But in general, I feel like his damage is very lackluster. You can do a lot of poke with his Q throughout those grenades, but like I was even playing against a hammer, I was like, oh great, I can just hit that hammer all day, but you just keep poking. He's just sitting there, be like, so what? Like these
Right.
grenades don't do that much to me. I mean, the damage does add up over time, but I feel like until later in the game where you can talent into it, you can't get a ton of burst out. So you do have to like figure out where that damage is going to come from, and I don't think it's going to come from Junkrat in your comps. Where do you find Junkrat sitting? Because I don't see him doing anything that well other than like disrupting a zone with his concussion grenades and with his traps. But
That's really primarily what he does is zone.
yeah, I don't see him being very like falling into the meta at all. Like right now, obviously it's hard to tell because everyone wants to play him, but do you guys see him finding a place in Hero League? Because I definitely don't. Or even competitive.
Well, like I said in the last show, he's a ranged garage. The
Right.
concussion mine of his, I feel like, is his strongest ability. Well, besides like his heroics, right? Is that if you put it in a spot where where the enemy will like run into it, you can use it to knock them back into your team. So you don't have to be there. You just watch the trap as long as they run over it, and it's not like super easy to see. It's not like, hey, it's here and it's like, if you walk over it, you die, but that's kind of it. If you walk over it and if he gets you at the right angle, it's like a garage throw. It's even big enough that you cover like basically the gate with it. So if you put it on the gate, then that means the enemy literally cannot go past their gate without running into your trap. So it's pretty strong.
Works well in mercenary camps too, because you can it's like a mini expulsion zone, right? You can blast everyone away. You can go and steal the camp. Of course, you get blasted away too, so you have to be a little bit careful, I guess, when you detonate it.
I think we'll see some of his damage get buffed too.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
I mean, Blizzard's probably going to get the data in and then tune him accordingly. He's a lot of fun to play. I'll give him that for sure. I have not laughed as much as I have playing Junkrat. Like there's just something about like detonating mines, even when you don't need to, just for the sake of making someone jump up in the air, is a lot of fun. Especially if you get like that beautiful one where you blow them into like a bear trap or blow them into like a Nazebo like zombie wall or something, right? Where it's just like that perfect storm. One of the problems with concussion mine too is it's actually hard to aim. Like it's great, it's easy to hit some people with it, but it's hard to get them to go perfectly where you want them to, even yourself. There's a level 13 talent which has gotten a lot of buzz, where Ripper Air, where it gives Junkrat 50% more range from when he explodes it on himself. But playing with that, it's tough to like go in the direction you want, right? If you're off at the angle by a little bit, you can go in a completely wrong direction. And it's not like Genji's dash where you're pointing it, you're going that way. You've got a quick second or two to make sure you got the right angle on the concussion mine to make sure you go that distance. And the Junkrat distance that you can get after going Ripper Air at 13 is pretty much like a Genji range. You go almost across the screen. You can use it to chase. And McIntyre had a great video up of him doing just that. And the great thing too is, unlike Genji, when you get to the end and if you're chasing like well behind their back line, like behind their like defenses, like you're fighting around a fort, you can just use your ultimate rocket ride to get out of it, because it doesn't matter if you die. It's kind of like you can suicide, try and kill the eye, and if you don't, you're back at the core. Post 20, your rocket ride's off cooldown again, anyways. Pretty much as soon as you get back into the fight. So I don't know. Do you guys think that like what other impressions do we have of him here? Like, he seems weird. He seems fun to play, but I don't know. Are we going to see him in competitive LiQuiud? Like, is that something we should be looking for?
I mean,
he's high skill cap too.
Here's the catch, right? Like, if you think about that question, he can't be played in BlizzCon because he's not going to be allowed.
Nope.
And then there's no competitive till 2018, really. I mean, there'll be some little things here or there.
So yeah, who knows by then, right?
Right. I'm sure we'll see him at some point. I don't think we missed a single hero in the 2017 BlizzCon season, so we'll definitely see him. It's just a question of when and how often.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll have Genji-like impact on the game, but like Schizophrenic said, and I agree, on certain rotation maps, he's really strong if you play that rotation game. It just comes down to how you're going to use him and where you're going to use him.
Well, let's look over his build a little bit, shall we? Because looking at his builds here, like I feel like there's not a ton of talent diversity in him. We're going to go over things quickly, and we're just kind of highlighting the talents that we think might be the strongest. So level 1, the only talent that I see here worth taking, and feel free to disagree with me, guys, is the first one. Put some English on it, which increases the frag launcher distance by 50%. The other two, like making the frag launcher grenades last 2 seconds longer, or after frag grenades bounce off terrain, you get 20% bonus damage, don't seem like you get as much value as the increased distance. Do you guys have any counterpoints to that, or do you think you agree with me there?
I think put some English on it is fairly good if you need to hit someone behind a wall, like an Abathur, or, you know, like really far away, like Chromie. Personally, I like the extra wound timers just because you can use that actually for extra zone control. If you like bounce them off a wall and you just like cluster up your grenades in a, you know, just like in a choke, then the enemy either walks through it and takes a bunch of grenade damage, or waits for, you know, the grenades to blow up after 2 seconds, which, you know, it's basically like a 2-second wall then at that point.
Well, and 2 seconds is long enough to usually get things like the curse or the mercenary camp or the boss, or like there's lots of things.
Yeah,
God, so Mystic, though, like the fact that you're talking about like placing those grenades, like I'm just lobbing them all over, like trying to hit stuff. You're talking about like placing them perfectly for zone control. Oh, geez, I gotta work on my Junkrat apparently. Level 14. Oh, level 14. Level 4. He's got a few here. Taste for explosions, bonzer hits, and gotta trap them all. Taste for explosions was what I was typically going with. Hitting heroes with frag grenades increases the damage by 0.75 up to 150. It's like almost impossible, I feel like, to finish this quest. At least I was never finishing it, but just getting that kind of you know, like extra scaling on my main damage ability seemed to be pretty strong. Whereas, I mean, I was listening to Bakery talk about bonzer hits. He actually said it was a significant amount of damage increase on this talent because it's a questing talent. If you hit 12 enemy heroes with concussion mines, you get 30% more damage and 30% more knockback. He liked that. And then finally, gotta trap them all. So one I played with a little bit too. If you hit 8 heroes with traps, with your bear trap, you reduce the trap cooldown by 3 seconds and you get 3 charges too. So if you can get that real zone control bear traps everywhere in every bush. What do you like here? Are you thinking Taste for Explosions is the best way to mitigate his low damage issue, or are you looking at bonzer hits or God of Trap them all?
I think Taste for Explosions, yeah, it's a really good talent to increase his damage, you know, if you need it. And then bonzer hits, I compare it myself with like a Stukov arm because the knockback is already pretty large, and if you get this, then it's even larger. It's basically like a Stukov arm. And then the fun talent that I really like is Gotta Trap 'em all, just because you get traps everywhere and it's just hilarious.
Yeah, especially when you make them big, or like the ones that kind of like chomp towards you. I guess we'll be talking about later.
Yeah.
It gets more interesting too.
It's so
There's
funny.
definitely a trap build that is fun to play, but is not always.
He feels like a gimmicky character. Sorry.
Yes.
Go ahead.
No. That's what I was gonna say. It's not always fun. It's not always optimum, but it's fun to play.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of people are just, you know, picking what's fun at the moment too, because he is such a fun hero to play.
Right, and that's what I think is going on. That's why part of his win rate is so low. People are just like, "Oh, this is awesome. I just want to have fun," which is cool. I'm not knocking having fun in a game you're playing. That's the point to a game. Just saying, like, I think that's part of what's affecting his win rate right now.
Yeah. Level 7, we've got Tricky Shuffles, gain 15% move speed when you're out of frag grenades. Big As, which increases the trap damage and radius by 50%. And Sticky Wicket, traps now slow enemies by 90% for 3 seconds instead of rooting for 2. Or maybe 2.5. What was the root time on the steel trap? 2 seconds. Okay, so what I was going here was Big As, but then I checked over on Hot Slogs and some other like HOTS API, and it looks like Tricky Shuffles is actually getting more like is more popular and having a higher win rate too, where you gain 50% movement speed when you're out of frag grenades. I assumed like I felt like I wasn't out of frag grenades that often. I didn't think I'd benefit from the extra 15% move speed, but I guess the trap damage isn't a ton, so increasing it by 50% isn't necessarily the greatest thing. What do you think here, Mystic?
Yeah, Tricky Shuffle is really strong because you just, after you use your frag grenades, then you get that extra movement speed. And if you you get into range to throw your frag grenades, and then they chase you because they're like, oh, he's out of frag grenades, but then they can't catch you. Big As is also pretty good, and Sticky Wicket, I think, is actually pretty good situationally. If the enemy team doesn't have a lot of mobility heroes, then it's actually more beneficial to have the 90% slow for 3 seconds. If it's like again, what?
Oh, sorry, I was gonna say it's essentially a root too, right? 90%.
Oh yeah. So like if they have a Genji or something, you'd want the root because he has a lot of mobility. He can just use it because he's just slow. He's not rooted. But if you have something like, I don't know, a Varian or something who walks through it and he's trying to charge your team, he's slowed 90% for 3 seconds. So he doesn't really have the mobility to compensate for that.
I guess Tricky Shuffles too, I didn't realize at the time, but the 50% move speed when you're out of frag grenades really synergizes with his level 16 burst talent, because he'll be out of frag grenades almost all the time. As soon as you do your shot, you shoot your whole clip on level 16 burst fire, right? So then you'll have a longer period of time where you'll have that move speed increase. Anyways, we'll get to that when we get to level 16. Level 13, we've got Ripper Air, Bogged Down, and Chattered Teeth. We already talked about Ripper Air a little bit. This is where Junkrat gets knocked 50% further from mines. And if only Junkrat's hit, it gets a 12-second cooldown reduction. So basically on a 4-second cooldown reduction, when you talk about arming it and everything too, it's essentially like 1 or 2 seconds. You can almost use it over and over again. We've got Bogged Down. Enemies hit by mines are slowed by 60% for 2 seconds. And Chattering Teeth. This is the one. This is one of those, like, might not be great, but you know what? It's hella fun, where the bear traps actually get animated like you see in like Saturday morning cartoons. They'll actually chase people down and grab them.
It's so funny to watch it chase people.
It is, and I feel like that's fun. We got 3 of those around because people can't target them. They have to deal with it, right? Like how you can't get through that zone. You gotta like activate the trap. So it's kind of funny to see. But here, I mean, Ripper Air seems to be a lot of popularity. It seems to get me into more trouble than I should probably be getting into. I'm not a very good Genji though, so maybe that's not the talent I should be taking.
I like Bogged Down personally.
Yeah.
Anytime you got a decent slow, it's good to have. It almost always sets you up for something.
It almost seems like you can kind of go like damage Q build. You can go like a mine build, or you can go a trap build, right? There seems to be those kind of paths here that you can go. So I guess it just depends which way you're going. I don't think it's decided on yet which way is the optimal route. Level 16, we've got Burst Fire. This is one that I really like. I know a lot of people like Spread Volley, but Burst Fire is where you take all your frag launcher rounds and you'll actually launch them sequentially. You can move while casting frag launcher now, and the cooldown is reduced by 6 seconds, but you do lose 1 charge. But it is great for burst because suddenly you don't have to wait for that that pause between shots. You just shoot your whole clip out at once. Like I said, maybe this synergizes well with level 7 Tricky Shuffles, because you'll have 50% move speed after firing your burst, because you'll have them all out as soon as you press that Q once. Endless Nades. I was looking at Math of the Storm. They actually found that this was the highest DPS route if you could constantly be hitting heroes. Because if you hit a hero with a grenade, you reduce the cooldown by 1.5 per seconds for your frag launchers. And then Spread Volley is an activatable one. This is kind of cool too. This is like, it gets chaotic really fast. You press the 1 button to activate, or whatever number it's on, and the rest of your grenades in your clip will fire with 2 additional grenades on the sides of them. So you get like basically 3 times 4, whatever, so 12 grenades like launching around, in a short period of time too, which is a little hectic. What do you guys like here? Like I said, I like Burst Fire, but that was just me. I can see the value in the other ones as well.
I think Burst Fire is really good, just for the burst damage. And I also really like Spread Volley, because if you activate that and you just fire it all into the enemy team, it actually does quite a bit of damage.
Endless Nades can be good too, though, depending on how well you are at hitting heroes.
Yeah, like I said, Math of the Storm said that's the highest DPS route if you can constantly hit those, but you do have to hit
Right.
them. So I guess a little bit higher skill cap there. Level 20, we've got extra oomph, 50% more knockback on Riptire, and the cooldown is reduced by 20 seconds for each hero hit. Puckish Scamp, this reduces Rocket Ride's cooldown by 70 seconds, which is insane, because, like I said, you use it, you get back into the battlefield really quickly because you're riding a rocket back with 250% move speed, and then it's pretty much off cooldown by the time you get there, give or take 10 seconds. Cannonball, increase the auto attack and frag grenade explosions by 50%. It actually makes the animation for the grenades larger too, which is pretty silly. So I was listening to some other analysis from Bakery, and he was saying that it's actually larger than 50% increased radius because you have to take into account the size of the actual sprite in the game as well. So it's actually effectively larger than that because the actual bomb size is bigger too. Then Boom Pow, hitting an enemy reduces mine cooldown by 10 seconds. So if you're on mine build, I guess that's the way to go. So what do you guys think on level 20? Is Puckish Scamp pretty much the way to go if you take Rocket Ride?
Yeah, I think you're gonna want to take the one that you got your ultimate for. I like Extra Oomph. I think it's pretty good. And then Rocket Ride, yeah, you're probably gonna want to take that. You don't want to have that a 100-second cooldown, and it's also really good.
That one's over. Sorry.
What?
I was just gonna say that one's over. That one's the only OP talent he has. That 70 seconds reduction is too large, and they're gonna end up changing that.
Well, the fact that it's essentially a total escape. It's like bye-bye from Chromie, but it does damage, and you can get back in the fight a lot faster. Right.
And it's not a 30-second cooldown at that point. No, it's gonna change.
Yeah, and not to mention, you get back to the core, you're instantly full health too.
Yeah.
There's a few second stasis or whatever, but that's almost negligible. But you do get your full health back, come back in the fight. Yeah, you're missing for maybe 10 seconds or so while you get back in. But still, you have that opportunity to be a bit more aggressive.
But if you're defending, you're back even faster.
Yeah.
Right. It's that one's gonna get changed.
That's true. Or you can even use it if you're on a large map. Say you're in the bottom lane on Warhead Junction, you can use it to suicide, even just a structure or something. Then you can get to the top lane faster, right? So it could help you in the rotations, and it'll be back up by the time you get there almost.
Right. Exactly.
So it's like a pseudo global per se.
On 30 seconds. It doesn't live. It won't survive that way.
So talking to you guys, I think he's got a little bit more talent diversity than I first expected. I guess I was kind of stuck in the one mindset of having to make his grenades stronger because it felt like that was his primary talent, but it looks like there's other ways you can go too. So LiQuiud. We got Muradin getting a rework. I know that's gotten you excited.
Well, first I don't know. When I first heard the news about Muradin getting reworked, I wasn't very happy. Now I am though. All right, in all fairness, I've only played a handful of games because PTR wait times suck. But now I'm very excited about the Muradin changes.
What excites you specifically? We'll talk about the major changes here and go into the talent shuffles and such now. But what are your impressions of it?
So I like the baseline quest being in there now. Avatar's mana reduction needed to happen, and I like some of the talent moves so that you can build him still tanky but a little more interesting to play.
So let's get into some of these changes. So he has his baseline quest, the LiQuiud mentioned.
Yep.
If you hit 25 heroes with Stormbolt, and you actually get credit for 3 hits of Stormbolt if a hero dies shortly after getting hit, you get a reward. Stormbolt will pierce one target, which you used to have the talent into, and auto attacks will reduce the cooldown of your Stormbolt by 1 second. Pretty damn cool. Stormbolt, Avatar, and Haymarker all had mana reductions, and your auto attack damage was reduced from 97 to 88. So keep that in mind. People used to take give them the axe and things that augmented your auto attacks because you've got whatever that is, 12, 13, 14% less damage from your auto attacks coming out. So LiQuiud, you've got a bit of a build here. You want to go through it, and maybe we can talk about some of the changes to his talents along the way too?
Sure. So this is the build I played with when I was testing on PTR, with one exception. And we'll get to that when we go to level 7. But primarily solo tank or tank in a tank bruiser kind of method, because that's what I enjoy playing when I play Heroes of the Storm. So on level 1, I still like Perfect Storm. This now makes up for the difference in the auto attack, or not, sorry. this pseudo makes up for the difference in damage, because now when you auto attack, and I haven't mapped it all the way out, so I could be off, but it feels about the same. Because your auto attack is reducing the cooldown of your Storm Bolt, and your Storm Bolt will pierce once you hit the 25. Getting the extra damage from Perfect Storm actually makes a lot more sense now. So I don't go block. I will sometimes go third wind depending on my support setup, but most of the time it's just straight up Perfect Storm now.
Yeah, Perfect Storm just seems to synergize so well with this baseline quest. It's hard not to take it. Like,
Right.
You used to have the talent into this stuff, right? Like
Right.
with Battle Momentum, or what it was called, then also like the piercing. Now it's all baseline essentially through a quest. Now you get Perfect Storm there too. It's like almost like his old Q build is suddenly like you can get it with just one talent.
That's like baseline almost, right?
Yeah.
Like if you play decent, it's baseline. So I like Perfect Storm there. Level 4, I still like Reverberation. I always used I take that back. I used to take that or Thunderburn, but with the changes to Thunderburn, I no longer take, because the wave clear was weakened with the changes to Thunderburn, so now I go Reverberation. It increases the attack speed slow from 25 to 50%, and now from 2.5 seconds to 3.5 seconds, which helps your, let's be honest, right? That helps your survivability anyway, because you're slowing down the attack on you.
For anyone who used to take Thunderburn, just to note too, like LiQuiuD was saying, it's been gimped a little bit because you have to actually hit a hero for it to do the second like Thunderclap to proc that. If you just do it on a minion wave like UCL2, it won't just do it again. So this is only good in like a team fight scenario, as opposed to where it used to be used for what was before, like which was a little bit extra wave clear.
All right, level 7, Heavy Impact. I mean, let's be honest. Heavy Impact is the greatest talent on Muradin that ever has been and ever will be. Well, maybe not that far, but like I've always liked Heavy Impacts where I can make it fit. 7's an interesting tier now because Give Him the Axe is also there. But nerfs are nerfs, and I just... And Skullcracker also there. Skullcracker used to be my go-to at level 7. But Heavy Impact being there now is like... That's what I want. I love some Dwarf Toss stuns.
Yeah, and Give Him the Axe got a slight nerf too. It used to be 60% increase to your auto attack damage when attacking. You get that for 3 seconds after attacking someone who is slowed, rooted, or stunned. Now it's only 50%. Not to mention that your baseline attack damage is lower too. So that's just like straight up not as good of a talent as it used to be.
No, it was like a flat out nerf across the board to that. So,
how about 13?
Yeah, I was just in the interest of all talents, I still go Avatar.
Oh, okay.
Right. But level 13. All right. So, I mean, if you were not taking healing static and you were tanking, you were doing it wrong. But like that's just reality. The healing that you could get out of healing static or out of Thunderclap was like insanely good, and was the difference between life and death a number of times for games I was in. So yeah, healing static is where it's at, 5% per hero hit. With Thunderclap, you jump in the middle with your Dwarf Toss, hit 4 heroes, and it's like boom, you just got 20% health back, easy, no problem.
Thunderstrike seems to have its place too sometimes, though.
It does, but
300% more damage to single target.
It depends the role you're playing, right? If you're bruisering more than you are to peel for your whole team, Thunderstrike definitely has a place. 300% more damage to a single target. So if you're isolating a target and you're hitting him with Thunderclap, like yes, 100% go Thunderstrike. But if you're playing a tank role, the heal is gonna help your healer out more and makes more sense.
What about Bronzebeard's Rage here, the Burning Rage type talent, right? Because that's a new one.
Yeah, I like that one. I like that on other warriors. I just like it's not competitive with the other two at this tier.
Yeah, and I don't like how they've made a lot of these Burning Rage type talents like require something to get bonus damage out of them. Like for this one, if you get increased burn damage of 100% for 3 seconds, similar to Give Them the Axe if you attack rooted, stunned, or slowed targets.
Right.
But I don't like having to have that addendum to it because like just baseline's not as much burn. I guess the reason they do that is so that, again, wave clear. They probably want to make it so you don't have a strong wave clear through it.
I do like that they're taking all of the burning rages and making them more like customized for that hero.
Boo.
I do like it. I
liked it the way it
appreciate
was
that.
before.
Well, I'm torn. I guess I should say I'm torn. I enjoyed the generic talents from before too. Like I enjoyed a bunch of people having blink. I enjoyed a bunch of people having ice block. I enjoyed a bunch of people having rewind. Like yes, burning rage was another one. I enjoyed that too. But I think it's more interesting as they go into like all these custom ones. I think so. So I'm very torn from the player and the. I want my game to be different than other games. I enjoy that they're customizing these. From I want to be able to watch esports on the TV and not like be like, what does that really do? No, it sucks. They should all have generic talents that work the same across the board. So right, like.
Yeah, for sure. For me, it's just like one less thing I got to think about. It's like, okay, I just got burning stuff going on. I don't have to worry about like attacking that guy because he's slowed.
Right.
Unless you give him the access, you're gonna be doing it anyways. But still, just one less thing to have to worry about because there's already a billion things you have to worry about in team fight positioning, like your health, your mana management, like your cooldowns, the cooldowns of the other enemy team, the cooldowns of your team. It's just so much. The last thing we'll have to deal with is proccing my Bronzebeard rage.
Right. Well, and Ogre has another good point. Tailoring the generic talents, it adds flavor to the character, and ultimately that's what they were going for here. And I feel like as much as we don't like the talent, they did do that, right? So
that's true. But you could always just have the old thing and just call it Bronzebeard's Rage. You don't have to call it Burning Rage.
Blizzard doesn't like to halfway do stuff, right?
That's
like they
true.
want to go, if they're gonna do it, like go big or go home, right? And just calling it Bronzebeard Rage but making it Burning Rage is not Blizzard's way.
It's the Daz cop-out way of doing it. Level 16.
So 16. I love Dwarf Toss. I've always loved Dwarf Toss. That will probably, Dwarf Toss is awesome.
Dwarf Launch.
Well, all right, yeah, Dwarf Launch. I'm sorry. Hate traveling. Have I mentioned that? So, Stoneform is still really good. I don't want to all three talents on this tier are good. Stoneform has its uses. If your healer's struggling and you want that extra bit of health, Stoneform makes sense. If it's a huge auto attack team, Imposing Presence probably makes sense. I like Dwarf Launch if I can use it, like if I know I don't need Stoneform for some reason, because increasing my range by 40% and the 3-second cooldown reduction if I hit a hero is awesome. And that's the goal every time you're dwarf tossing, unless you're escaping, is because you're looking to hit that stun anyway with your level 7. So these work really well together. That's why it's like my go-to. But Stoneform if my healer's taking a hard time or if I'm in a unorganized group.
Mental note, it doesn't cancel mosh pits because you will get stunned in the mosh.
Yes, I've tried that.
Yeah.
But if you're cleansed on the way into the mosh, you can cancel mosh that way.
Yeah, if you trust your healer that much.
If you have Mystic playing healer with you and you yell, I'm tossing, and he hits you with that cleanse, it'll work, man.
Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez.
So remember that, Muradin players. If you're playing with Muradin Mystic, just be like, yo, I'm going in. They'll get you that pre-cleanse.
But nobody else. Never trust your healer that much.
Hey, cleanse is being taken away from a lot of the healers, so they all have other ways to interrupt mosh pit. You don't have to cleanse that Muradin that's jumping in now.
I'm going in, boys.
Level 20.
Level 20. So Mystic and I disagree a little bit here. I like rewind. Because with all the extra CDRs that you're already picking up, having rewind means you're just like a little terror, right? You're hitting the extra heals all the time off of your thunderclap. You're stunning people like crazy, whether it's with your piercing blow, that's on man, why do I always forget the name of that stupid Stormhammer talent on your Q, or you're stunning him with the dwarf toss, or you're healing yourself. Like rewind at 20 is like so much fun. And works very, very well. But Unstoppable Force is good. It gives you a 0.75 cooldown reduction on Toss and Thunderclap, which is great from basic attacks when you're in Avatar. It gives you 20 armor when you're in Avatar. So, both of those things are good.
Yeah, I used to take Hardened Shield all the time, but I mean, getting 20 armor baseline in Avatar seems like it might do that job better almost.
I was a big believer in Hardened Shield for a long time, and then I played Rewind one game, and I went, "What's wrong with me? Rewind is where it's at." I think Shiz actually told me, "Dude, you should be trying Rewind. Give it a try." And I tried it, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is the coolest thing ever."
That's because he's a Zeratul player, right? Zeratools love their Rewind.
Zeratools love Rewind, right? So I prefer Rewind there. It works really well, but yes, you're correct. You can go. Hardened Shield is still okay. 75 armor for 4 seconds is pretty good, especially when you consider you pop it when you're like, oh my god, like it's gonna hit the fan. Yeah.
All right, so Muradin, that's him in a nutshell. We'll have to see how he shakes out. I believe he's down slightly in hot slogs, but not as much as Zul'jin, who's dropped significantly, probably because his playstyle, I feel like Muradin is still kind of the same old Muradin at heart, right? Like a lot of the talents you would have taken before, you get just in different spots now. Some of them are baseline. But Zul'jin has changed a little bit. And I think, and again, correct me if I'm wrong here, guys, but I feel like a lot of his damage is shifting to a later game, mostly because of his baseline quest that he's now got. So I'm going to talk about his basic changes before we get into the talents. Then maybe we'll get Mystic's opinions on how he thinks Zul'jin's changed and how his place has changed here. So he had a basic attack reduction, very similar to Muradin, of 15%. So that's a pretty big blow, especially because here he's an auto attack hero. Every 5 basic attacks, though, he's got a baseline attack now, increases basic attack damage by 1. So I did the math. You need to hit about 10 basic attacks on heroes per level to approximately keep pace with this basic attack nerf. If you're doing better than that, it scales much better into the late game. By level 20, you'll be doing much better in terms of your damage output from before pre-patch Zul'jin. However, that's probably what you should be gunning for, is the 10 attacks per hero per level, which equates to 2 extra damage on each auto attack per level increase. So Grievous Throw got a cooldown reduction from 8 to 6 seconds, and Twin Cleave got an increase from 8 to 10, with a mana cost increase from 50 to 60 for that Twin Cleave. And Regeneration, too, I didn't realize this until I was checking the patch notes today, got an increase from 25 to 30% of his maximum health, so you get a little bit more self-sustained type from there. So, without looking at the talents yet here, Mystic, what are your thoughts about Zul'jin and how has he changed, from a general perspective?
Well, without looking at his talents, then you look at, hey, he's a lot weaker early game, but they baked in a lot of his attack damage talents that some people used to take and just put them all on baseline. They're like, okay, so people took Zul'jin for auto attacker, right? And then so they're like, all right, we're just going to bake that into his basic kit and then make it so he feels more like a troll, so he regens a little bit more. And then, yeah, they're just they just baked in more auto attacks to his baseline.
Well, let's look at the talents. Maybe I'll tell the story here too, because quite a few of them got shuffled around. You got some new ones put in here as well. It's almost like whenever they do these reworks, they keep a lot of the old talents, but they shuffle them around so much, it's hard to keep track of where they used to be. But level 1, we've got Bone Slicer, Recklessness, and Headhunter. Bone Slicer, a lot of these talents, they might sound familiar, but they actually got changed a little bit. Grievous Throw will now pierce all enemies, and it'll refund 10 mana per hero hit. Now, the effect is not removed by basic attacks anymore. Usually it used to be 3 basic attacks, but now it's just straight up 6 seconds. You'll have a marked target, which adds, extra utility there. Not to mention you got lower cooldowns, don't forget, on your Q as well, so you can get more value out of that than before. Recklessness, 10% bonus attack damage when below 75% health, 20% spell power while below 50% health, and then Headhunter. Now, this one, I remember when Zul'jin first came out, if you killed all unique heroes, you can activate a button, that was the quest reward, to see where all the heroes were on the map. I thought it was OP at the time. Turns out no one ever took it because it was really tough to complete. Now they've got it again. Kill all unique heroes. You increase your damage by 2% per takedown. So you do get a benefit on the way to completing the quest. But also, you complete it, you get a bonus attack range of 1.1. So suddenly you're outranging Raynor. Not to mention... I forgot to mention too, the baseline quest changes too. After you hit, I think 75 auto attacks on heroes, you get a 1.1 attack range increase. So that combos with this to make it 7.7 total. So you're outranging pretty much any hero. And then also if you do 150, your twin cleaves goes around a second time. So you get that extra bonus from his baseline quest that I forgot to mention too. So level 1, I was actually torn here, Mystic, on what to take. And I feel like I've torn a lot of places with Zul'jin. It seems like the community is too. What route are you going here? Do you have a general like way that you go? Do you build into his Q? Do you build into his spell damage? How do you typically build Zul'jin starting with level 1?
I think, okay, so level 1, it's very diverse here. Bone Slicer is really strong if your team has lockdown, because then you just get a lot of auto attacks on that target that you Grievous through, right? So that's really good there. Recklessness is also, it's like a very good all-rounder type of thing. You can't really go wrong with it. And then Headhunter is, if you think your team can get those kills and you increase that range, which is also really good. It helps so that your positioning doesn't have to be as tight, and so it gives you a little bit more leeway there, and it increases your damage.
Yeah, and I guess the thing is that's more like a quick matchy talent too, where there's gonna be a lot of deaths. That's something that you can feel a bit safer taking because you have to participate in those takedowns. So level 4, we got Troll's Blood, Voodoo Shuffle, and Amani Rage. Troll's Blood, increase regen healing by 25%. If it finishes, you get 10% mana back. Pretty nice there to get mana. I think a lot of these are kind of like regen mana return abilities too. Voodoo Shuffle, activate to remove roots and slows. And passively, this is new too, you lower the cooldown and mana cost of regen by 33%. And then Amani Rage, you activate to lose 50% of your current health, and you restore it over 6 seconds. You also gain 10 armor during the duration too. So this is an activatable. I kind of like Amani Rage. It's a little higher skill cap, but walking around as a Zul'jin with a Nova around, you don't have to sit there half health the whole time. You sit there full health, and you can go down to half health when you need to get that extra burst. What are you looking at level 4 here, Mystic?
At level 4, they're all really good because the Troll's Blood, you just get that 10% mana back, and then you get the extra healing, right? Voodoo Shuffle is very situational, and then Amani Rage, like you said, is that higher skill cap one. So if you have the Guillotine ready, you can... I don't know if Guillotine snapshots your health, or is it your health like when it lands? But
I think it's when you land, because like in the corner of your heads-up display, you'll see like your Guillotine damage after you take it. And I noticed that after I throw it, if I hit Amani Rage afterwards, it changes the number. So I'm assuming it's your health when it hits, because a lot of other things work like that too. So I think that's how it works. You almost want to like cast your Guillotine first, and then while it's in the air, you proc your Amani's Rage to get the maximum damage from it.
Yeah, so you just throw your Guillotine, you pop your Amani Rage, and then you automatically get the damage boost from that. Not only that, like if you think you're gonna take a lot of burst, and you think you can survive it with about half HP, you can pop Amani Rage right before you get hit by the burst, and then you'll heal the 50% of your maximum health instead of like 50% of the current of whatever you're gonna use.
Is this a nerf to what's it called? Greymane's Cursed Bullet too. You see a Cursed Bullet coming, if you're fast enough, pop him on your Rage, you'll lose 50% less of the damage too.
Yeah, exactly.
if you can pull that off, that's Mystic Shroud level of game ability
of micro.
Yeah. That's like
watch for it.
It's like cleansing a Nubrax cocoon, like next to impossible.
Hey, I only done that once.
Even pros say that's tough. So level 7, we got Vicious Assault, Arcanite Axes, and Ferocity. Vicious Assault, bonus to Grievous Throw of 30%. So Arcanite Axes, reduce Twin Cleave cooldown by 2 seconds. And you also get an infinite stacking quest. Increase Twin Cleave damage by 0.75 every time it hits a hero. Don't forget that's per blade. Plus, if you finish your baseline quest, it goes around twice. You can get 4 stacks those if you hit them perfectly. And Ferocity, increase attack speed bonus of Berserker by 35%. Now, I did some little mathing here too. I used to think this was like a straight up 35% like attack speed bonus, but it's actually 35% increased attack speed bonus that Berserker gives you. So when you're at full health, this gives you absolutely nothing. When you get down to 0 health, effectively, if you're doing a little target dummy, it works out to about an 18% increase in attack speed. So it's not as much as it sounds. So just kind of be careful with that. So I actually, looking at hot slogs, I believe Arcanite Axes is kind of the way to go. A lot of hot slogs is showing me that you're actually getting a lot of benefit from going like the Twin Cleave talents too. Are you thinking like that's the way to go here, level 7, and are you starting to diversify a little bit, or do you stick to your auto attack build?
I think Arcanite Axis is really strong here because it is an infinite quest, and so that's automatically really strong, and it reduces the cooldown of Twin Cleave by 2 seconds. So it's actually a very strong talent. So I'd go with that.
Level 13, we've got Lacerate, Eye of Zul'jin, and Snare. And Snare is no longer up there on what was level 20 before. 60-second act available. It roots enemies for 1.5 seconds. I know Mystic was always a fan of that when Zul'jin was released. Lacerate increases the slow of Twin Cleave by 15% each. So that can give you a 30% slow if you hit that properly. And Eye of Zul'jin, 3% move speed for 2 seconds when auto-attacking heroes, stacking up to 30%. These seem actually like a lot of strong talents here, and Snares, a lot of people might say like, well, it's 60-second act available, it's a skill shot, but hey man, it sets up that guillotine nicely.
Yeah, I think Ensnare is really strong, and then I really like Lacerate. I have Zul'jin, I think it's okay, but I just think the other ones are a lot stronger, because Ensnare is a 1.5 second root. 1.5 seconds is quite a long time. And then Lacerate, you just increase that slow, the Twin Cleave, you could potentially hit a lot of heroes with that, so...
Yep, level 16, we got No Mercy, Wrong Place, Wrong Time, Let the Killing Begin. No Mercy, basic attacks against enemies marked by Grievous Throw, ignore armor. Hello, Garrosh counter. Wrong Place, Wrong Time, bonus damage if enemy hit by both cleaves at the same time. It counts as 5 basic attacks for the baseline quest. So you get bonus damage and 5 basic attacks for the baseline quest, increasing your auto attack damage. And then Let the Killing Begin. Killing enemies gives 5% attack speed for 12 seconds, stacking to 40%. This includes minions. If you take down a hero, it brings it to 40% instantly, and basic attacks refresh this duration. So you can get a hella nice boost to your attack speed through that. What do you think here? Actually, Wrong Place, Wrong Time is doing pretty well in Hot Slugs. Again, like I said, like these Twin Cleave talents seem to be performing well, but Let the Killing Begin is hard to give up.
Yeah, I think they're really good. I think No Mercy is also really good. Because there's a lot of people that have armor nowadays, like Arthas, he has baseline armor, Uther gives a lot of armor, and then, a lot of people just have a lot of armor. So No Mercy is actually a really good talent because, a lot of armor is cropping up here and there. But Wrong Place, Wrong Time is also just really good because, all that bonus damage. And if you're not done with your baseline quest yet, then 5 extra autos every time they hit at the same time.
That's true. Level 20, Amani Resilience, increase the duration of Tazdingo by 1 second. Now that's new. It never used to do that. And you heal for 50% of the damage dealt. So you're getting longer time to deal more damage to heal up. That makes Tazdingo look a lot nicer. Buzzsaw got a buff too. Guillotine keeps moving forward after cast for 75% of the damage, which is the same as before. But if a hero is killed by it, you get to heal to full health. So better than Ancestral potentially. And then Forest Medicine, regeneration no longer requires a channel and cannot be interrupted. Man, I wish this was at a lower level. I used to take it all the time, but now it got moved to 20. So I don't know. Here, I gotta say, like going Guillotine, I like Forest Medicine better. That's your only 2 choices if you go Guillotine. But what do you think? I guess if you go Tazdingo, Mounting Resilience is the way you have to go.
As much as I like Forest Medicine, I don't think it's worth it unless you took like some other talents that increase your healing, like Troll's Blood or something, And then Buzzsaw is actually pretty good now because the Ensnare was moved down so that you can throw it and then take some damage, throw the Buzzsaw, and then when they try to run away, right, they can't. They're just gonna take a lot of damage.
Ragnaros' meatball on steroids.
Yeah, exactly.
We know LiQuiud loves that talent too.
Yep, you know it.
LiQuid's chiming in for the assassin. You can tell when it's a tank and when it's an assassin we're talking about.
Well, I mean, like so honestly, I've played Zul'jin a little bit as a carry because I actually enjoy playing him.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't had a chance to play his rework yet, but I look forward to trying it out and seeing what I think.
Yeah, it feels a lot different. Like I said, he's dropped quite a bit on Hot Slugs. I don't remember the exact numbers, but it was, I think around them 6-7% ish. I'm not sure if that's just people getting used to his new build, new people coming onto him thinking he's OP and realizing, oh hey, this hero's not the same hero I remember before. I got to try and figure him out a bit more. But still, I think we'll have to shake it out a little bit longer. Do you think, Mystic, this is a buff, nerf, same, just kind of reshuffled?
I think between the old Zul'jin and the new Zul'jin, I'd say they play roughly the same. There's a bit more healing in the new Zul'jin, and I'd say he's a bit stronger than the old one. So that's my opinion on that one.
Cool. So, Mystic, you know what that means it's time for, right? Now that we're wrapping up the Zul'jin talk.
Oh yeah.
It's time for Mystic's Shakedown.
Mystic, I require service of you. I come to you as a friend, asking you to shake down this situation for me.
Take it away, Mystic.
Did the bumper actually play?
We couldn't hear any of that.
Oh, well, it played, so take it away, Mystic.
Okay, well. Anyway, so my topic for this week is double support. Why it's the meta and why it's so strong. Like, what makes double support? Why is everybody playing it? So double support composition, you usually have a tank, a support, an off support. Basically, it's like Tyrande, Karazim, or even another full support. Damage dealer, and then a wave clear or another damage dealer, usually like a mage or something. So why is it so strong? You have 2 times the ability to save someone, right? So let's just say someone gets caught out of position, like LiQuid's playing that ETC, he catches out your team's Vala, and then suddenly, you know, that Divine Palm saves that Vala from getting utterly destroyed. And so LiQuid's like, I'm not having any of that. So he jumps on your Vala with the stage dive. Suddenly, Divine Shield. Oh shoot, you can't kill that Vala because too many supports and too much healing. So you have, even if your carry or your DPS get dived really hard, it's really easy to save them because you have double support, right? It's a lot of healing, it's a lot of saving potential. So another thing is that supports actually do okay damage, right? When you think of support, maybe you think of medic or something, and even medic does okay damage nowadays because of the grenades and how much she heals herself. So the supports do pretty good damage. The next thing is supports provide a lot of utility. So not only do they have okay damage, they have the ability to save people, but they usually bring like a lot of utility, like sight, CC, and all that stuff. They're really good. Like, let's just say Uther, he has the stun into Divine Storm, which is almost like a 2-second stun or something. And he just stuns out your team, and your team just gets blown up. And then the last thing is that this type of meta, especially in Hero League, makes mistakes very forgiving. So like I said, even if that Volapu was positioning terribly or something, she gets saved by all these ults and something in a situation where she would have been dead twice. And it works like wonders for Hero League. If you make a mistake, then, and you know, if you get out via, you know, your support helping you out, or, you know, you just escape using your escape, like Genji dash or something like that, you can get healed up to full. It's like that mistake never happened, you know? And then, so because there are a lot of mistakes in Hero League, then, you know, you can, double support composition makes it so you can forgive mistakes a lot better. And it's a bit different in the professional scene. It's similar to that, but it's more of who can blow up who faster, and then the support's saving ability really comes into play there.
Do you think like Blizzard and people in general are not big fans of the double support meta? I don't mind it at all because I play a lot of support, so it gives me more flexibility when there's another support on the side of me. But like, do you think this is a problem? Like, I don't see it to be as big of a problem as other people seem to think.
I think Blizzard right now, at the beginning of the double support meta, you know, they're like, yes, it's a different meta. You know, it's not double tank anymore. We have double support now. And then I think now they're at the point of, we shouldn't have this double support meta anymore. I don't really like it. So we're gonna go down, trim the power of like almost all the supports, and see if we can't change it here.
Yeah,
I think they're at that point.
I mean, other than Ana coming out, there's been a pretty clear message of like, you know, they've been trying to find a different place for supports. Of course, I feel like the Ana bit, like they have a roadmap for heroes, plan it well in advance. It's not like it was a snap decision to be like, okay, well, let's push back or change on and like completely fix her because we don't want this double support meta to persist. Just kind of happened that she rolled out around when this double support meta, you know, was already a thing, so that she's kind of pervading it more. I know they're keeping an eye on it. They said so in like the patch notes and everything too, that they're keeping an eye on Ana and how she's affecting this double support meta, because it seems like it's promoting it more, but they're keeping a close eye on it because of that. But man, I like having the option. Like, I mean, you say there's the double support meta, but you can have double support, you can have double tank. You have the options there. You don't have to go both ways. Either, like, you don't have to double support.
I mean, you can say you don't have to double support, but most people at this point double support, double tank.
Well, competitive is
It's-
different than like Hero League and stuff too.
It's the world of hyper carry. Like that's what it is, and it's brutal. It sucks.
Yeah, like I said, I guess it
being
depends.
honest.
I guess it depends like what we're talking about. Like if I was
Yeah.
more thinking like Hero League, Team League side of things, like I don't see as much double support there. Maybe it's just with where I am in Platinum. I know it's obviously different in competitive, but I'm not sure what you guys are seeing in Hero League. In such or unranked even, like I don't see as much double support. I mean, if you got an Ana, typically you'll see a second support, but usually other than Ana, people, and even with Ana, most like a lot of the time, there's a solo support situation. I'm just getting a lot of head nodding. You guys are like politely being like, "You're crazy, Dad."
I mean, well, no, I mean I get it, right? But like, here's the question you have to ask yourself: wouldn't your all right? Ignoring the fact that everybody hates double support. Okay, so like. Please, watchers out there, don't hate on me. I get it. I hate double support just as much as the next guy.
Except for me, I like double support.
Like, why are you not playing double support, double tank, and take the hyper carry?
Well, that's putting a lot of your eggs in one basket. I think Mystic Mystic Shakedown was saying, you have the support DPS. Wait for DPS. So you're saying like more one tank, right? Mystic is kind of your go of it. I feel like competitive, you can maybe get away with the hyper carry, but in like lower leagues and stuff, putting all your eggs into that Vala, necessarily isn't the best way to go with two tanks. I feel like it's like solo tank, dual support, do two DPS.
Bacon Vala, hyper carry. Let's do it.
Yeah, bacon's good though.
Oh, but that's what I'm talking about, right? Like there are good people at different tiers. Like a Silver League person that's better than other Silver League people can pull off a hyper carry.
Are you gonna trust that other guy, like Dick Van Dyke 26?
That's what's missing from the Nexus, Daz. A level of trust and respect amongst other Hero League participants.
I was telling you before, don't trust your supports. You definitely don't trust your hyper carries. You see someone
I'm
first
just
pick an
saying,
Illidan, you don't go like
there's so much like hate and salt, and I get it. Like I hate Hero League, so I understand. But like, if we all go in salty and untrusting and hating, we're never gonna get anywhere, man. This kumbaya moment brought to you by the Nexus.
Yes, that's definitely a very hippie moment, taking us back to the 60s.
It's got to be me being in Canada. I need to get back to the States where I'm from. The air up here is messing me up.
Yeah, before you know it, you'll be drinking beer and saying hoser, right? Like,
well, I drink the beer already, but I'll be saying hey at the end of everything.
Yeah, we put the secret sauce in the beer. It starts to transform you before you know it. They're like,
that explains so much.
You have to call your wife and tell her you're not coming back.
Why I'm a little better. I just did vodka tonight. So.
All right. Well, I think this is a good place to wrap up the show. Thanks everybody for listening to the Nexus Trolls, the Heroes of the Storm podcast. We stream us live on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/trollsgg, every week on Wednesdays at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 p.m. Pacific. Unless, like this week, scheduling makes it happen a little bit differently. LiQuiud, where can people find you?
So the best place to find me is on Twitter at LiQuiudGG. That's LiQiuDGG. Right now, I'm not really casting much. I'm just focused on trying to get stuff together for trolling HCC and the Nexus Trolls. But Daz and I are doing. Are we trolling in Tyria again this weekend?
We are.
Or Friday night.
Awesome. Is Tyria the name of the world that we're trolling?
Tyria is the name of the world. That's why I did trolling in Tyria. So Daz and I play Guild Wars 2 with our wives on Friday nights right now. So we'll be doing that Friday too.
Yeah, this is a pilot project, so we're going to see how it goes. I think my wife actually enjoyed it, too. One of the big worries me and LiQuiud had, we really were trying to tailor it around my wife because she's not much of a gamer. Like, LiQuiud's wife, she's a gamer. She kind of has been in this world. My wife, she's played, like, Lego Star Wars, and that's, like, pretty much it. And, like, Super Mario Brothers, like, 20, 30 years ago when it came out, right? So we were a little bit nervous. We're like, we have to find a game that she's going to like, very story-driven, very thematic, looks really pretty. We picked Guild Wars 2. We actually picked it over WoW, too. A lot of people have been questioning that decision. We've had a lot of questions about that. But still, I mean, she enjoyed it. She wants to do it again. So it's a good sign. The plan is we're going to play Guild Wars 2 for a bit. When that runs out of Steam, maybe we'll try WoW, see how things go. But yeah, so if you have any suggestions of games to play for me, LiQuiud, and our wives on date night on Fridays at 9 p.m. Eastern, just give us a shout, tweet at us, whatever. So the best place to follow me is on Twitter at DazHots. I almost read LiQuid's show notes there and said LiQuiD GG. I was going to double promote LiQuid there.
That's all right. You can double promote me. That's okay.
And Mystic, where can people find you?
You can find me at Mystic Shroud on Twitter.
And no matter how much we harass you, you won't change your default color from like the plain blue Twitter default. But you do have that avatar up. We're really impressed. You're finally making strides there, Mystic. But follow Mystic. Maybe tweet at him, try and get him to change that background. Geez, you gotta get like a picture or something up there. A little less vanilla. Okay, and if you're interested in being part of the Trolls GG family, actually, you want to say this, LiQuid? I guess this is your part here.
Oh, that's right. Yes. Okay. So if you're interested in becoming part of the Trolls GG family, we're looking for a writer to talk about either Heroes of the Storm or Heroes of the Storm eSports or both. And we're also looking for a social media manager. Daz and I kind of do both. I do all the troll and HCC tweets with Bags, and then Daz does a lot of the Nexus Trolls tweets, and I try to help out there as well. But we're definitely looking for those. I have not had a chance to write something up and put it on our webpage, but it will be there. But in the meantime, if you want to tweet me directly, go ahead at LiQuiDGG. I will be happy to talk to you about what we're looking for.
Cool. And thanks to all our Patreon supporters over at patreon.com/TrollsGG. If you're looking for a way to support the show and you like it, you can do so there. You can also do so at paypal.me/TrollsGG.
TrollsGG. Yep.
And you can support us directly through there. You don't have to go through Patreon if you don't want to. If you just want to do a direct donation, all of the proceeds that we've been putting towards BlizzCon swag. We've locked that in for this year, but I'm sure we'll be coming up with new stuff that we're going to be giving away out as the year progresses post BlizzCon. You can also visit our website at trolls.gg/TheNexusTrolls to watch this and past shows along with past video streams, which can also be found on our YouTube channel. You can subscribe to our show on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, or wherever you happen to find your podcasts online. We're probably there. And for announcements about the show in general, Here's the Storm News, you can follow us on Twitter at TheNexusTrolls. LiQuid was nice enough to say that I am involved in the tweeting there. I do tweet from there occasionally, but he definitely does the bulk of the tweeting from the Trolls GG network in general. If you want to hang out with us in the Trolls community in-game, you can /join Trolls GG in-game or join our Discord channel. Get the information there at trolls.gg/Discord. And finally, if you need to get in touch with us, the best way is by email at TheNexusTrolls@trolls.gg. So everyone, Mystic, LiQuid, it's been a slice as usual, guys. Everybody, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Have a great week.